My overseas assignment is just 1 week away. It will be my first time abroad at the age of nearly 50. I'm feeling very anxious about what kind of place it will be and whether I can handle it well. But to be honest, I feel guilty about leaving my newlywed son Mark and my housebound husband Ryan behind as I go overseas. If I could, I would prefer to stay in the United States, but that's not an option. However, contrary to my feelings, Ryan and Mark don't seem to feel lonely about my going abroad. They've always understood my way of working, as I've often been away from home due to my busy job. And, in contrast to my family, who saw me off without much fuss, I left feeling a bit regretful. While I was bewildered by the unfamiliar environment there, I focused on my work, thinking of my family's faces. After a few months, work finally settled down, and I saw a chance to return to the United States. At last, the day of my return arrived. With many souvenirs in hand, I walked home with a light step. I'm home. I opened the living room door, my heart pounding, wondering how they would react.
Huh? A ghost?
For a moment, I turned around to see who he was talking to, but there was only me in his line of sight. Was he talking to me? Had they presumed me dead without my knowing? Feeling uncomfortable, I quietly left the house. Then, a few days later, the truth behind those words was revealed. The college girl CEO. There was a time when I was called that and became the center of attention. I, Kelly, started my own apparel brand while I was still a university student and became a CEO at a young age. Ever since I was in middle school, my dream had been to become an entrepreneur, so from high school, I diligently studied to make that dream a reality. My high school life was far from the glamorous one I had imagined. All I remember is gathering information on studying and starting a business. When I think of memories from high school, the school festival during my 3rd year comes to mind. As I was wandering aimlessly from one stall to another, I was drawn toward the direction of some lively voices. Apparently, it was the stage where some classmates from another class had formed a band and were performing. I peeked through the gaps in the crowd to see who was performing. The moment I looked at the person playing the guitar, my heart skipped a beat, and a feeling I had never experienced before blossomed. This must be what they call love at first sight. From then on, whenever I saw him, I found myself discreetly following him with my eyes. But with the hectic season of senior year, filled with studying and exams, I wasn't confident I could balance love and academics. So, I gently put a lid on the budding feelings of affection and threw myself into achieving my big goal of starting a business. Thanks to that, I was able to get into the university I wanted and steadily gained knowledge about managing an apparel brand. Since I was a child, once I became passionate about something, I would become completely absorbed and forget everything around me. Perhaps it was this personality trait that allowed me to realize my dream of starting a business early. While attending university, I spent my days desperately trying to juggle my duties as a fledgling CEO. Around that time, I received a new job request. They wanted me to enter into an exclusive contract to design costumes for a band. I never imagined I would be in charge of an artist's costumes. Wait, this name. As I was reviewing the request, a familiar name caught my eye. One of the band members was Ryan, the guy from the school festival. Wow. He's still playing in a band. So, I ended up signing an exclusive contract, and with the beginning of costume meetings, I reunited with Ryan.
I can't believe we're from the same high school. I feel a sense of closeness.
Actually, I found out about you during the school festival in our senior year. I never imagined we'd reconnect in this way. I'm looking forward to working with you. As we continued with a few meetings, we started seeing each other more frequently. Gradually, from this fateful reunion, it seemed my feelings of love began to resurface. Eventually, we began going out for meals together, and we started dating, drawn to each other. As my private life flourished, my company gradually began to take off as well. Ryan's band was also gaining recognition and growing in popularity. We were both at the peak of our success.
Hey, Kelly. My work has stabilized, so how about we get married soon?
2 years into our relationship, Ryan brought up the topic of marriage. Of course, I want to get married. But I'd like to continue my work as it is. My company is just getting on track.
Let's support each other while valuing our work. I think if we cooperate, we can make it work somehow.
Thank you. That's very reassuring. I'm looking forward to our life together. And so, I happily became Ryan's wife. We were busy with work, but we enjoyed a warm newlywed life. It made me happy that we could share our lives while each doing the work we loved. During that time, a tiny life began to grow inside me. I have something to tell you.
What is it? Is it about work?
No. Ryan, you're going to be a father this summer.
Really? Wow! I've got to work even harder now.
Ryan beamed as he finished off the beer he was holding. I thought, I have to work harder too. While feeling both anxiety and excitement about balancing childcare and work, I vowed to make our child happy.
You can come out anytime now.
Ryan spoke to my belly. The season had fully turned to summer. Soon, we would finally meet our much-awaited child. I had wrapped up my work in preparation for the birth, so I was ready whenever the time came. And so, a week later, a small boy let out a healthy cry and was named Mark. Taking care of a newborn was challenging in a way that was different from work, but it also brought new joys. Even amidst the chaos, I felt a deep affection for Mark, who grew bigger with each passing day. A few months after giving birth, I was able to return to work after taking a break for a while. I had been worried about the company while I was on leave, but things were going well without any issues, which was a relief. Ryan also actively participated in housework and childcare whenever he had a break from work, so I never had to face the difficulties alone. Blessed with both a fulfilling job and a lovely child, we were living a truly smooth and prosperous life. However, such happy days, where everything goes well, don't last forever. Lately, Ryan has been home more often, seemingly with some extra time in his schedule. Don't you have anything planned for today?
Yeah, my work has been decreasing lately. Well, it'll probably get back to normal eventually.
I see. I hope that's the case. Ryan didn't seem too concerned, but I was worried about how his work would go in the future. Since we had that conversation, it feels like his schedule has become even lighter. I was starting to feel anxious about whether his band would be okay like this. Soon after, my concerns turned out to be justified. Gradually, Ryan's band's popularity began to decline, and they started to fade from the public's memory. To be honest, I felt a sense of urgency. With Ryan's work decreasing, it meant I would have to support both Ryan and Mark. With my current workload, that wouldn't be possible. I needed to work harder and earn more. Feeling the responsibility to protect my family, I devoted myself to work more than ever before. It was easy to completely immerse myself in work. However, I found myself unable to spend any time with my family. I wanted to watch little Mark grow up, but I needed to earn money. Caught between work and family, I struggled, but I continued to devote myself to my job. While I was too busy to focus on parenting, Ryan managed the limited work he had and took care of Mark. There were many times I felt conflicted about not being able to spend enough time with Mark, but Ryan's support was reassuring, and I was very grateful. As Mark grew up through elementary and middle school, I did my best to attend school events whenever I could between work, trying to savor moments of his growth in the best way I could. Eventually, Mark became a high school student, and it was time for him to decide his future path. It's up to you, Mark, but if you'd like, would you consider working at my company? I suggested this to give Mark more options for his future.
I can't think of anything I want to do, and it's tough to find a job in this world. I'll keep your company in mind.
And so, Mark decided to join my company. It felt like a dream to be able to work with my son in the company I built. However, having entered as the CEO's son, the reception he would get wouldn't necessarily be warm. I knew that if he learned the job quickly, he'd gain the recognition of those around him, and he'd surely find it fulfilling. To make sure Mark didn't face too many hardships, I put my all into training him. One day during a break, Mark came to me and said,
Why are you so hard on me, Mom? There's no way I can learn everything so quickly.
I'm not being hard on you, Mark. I just want you to learn quickly so that things become easier for you.
That's just your ego, Mom. I want to learn at my own pace.
With that, he walked away. What I had been doing to try to spare Mark from difficulties had actually become a burden for him. Hearing his words made me reflect a little. However, I often got overly passionate about teaching, and we frequently clashed. By the time Mark had learned the job and could handle it, a problem arose. Ryan's band was finally dropped by their agency. Unable to continue the band he had been part of for so many years, Ryan became like a shell of himself. And it was understandable. He had lived with music since high school, so it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he had lost his reason for living. I felt sorry for Ryan, who had lost his purpose. I thought I couldn't let him remain a shell, so I wanted to help him recover. Hey, Ryan. We can't just do nothing, so why don't you try being an executive at my company?
Honestly, I don't feel like doing anything right now.
You'll have to do something eventually, so you should try to regain your spirits little by little.
Yeah, I know.
For now, just try working at our company. Take it slow. And so, Ryan began working at my company as an executive. I hoped that giving him a social role would help him eventually recover and embark on a new life. I had such hopes, but I soon realized that my thinking was naive. Hey, are you planning not to go to the office today again?
I'm just not feeling up to it.
Ryan showed no intention of going to the office and kept coming up with excuses, spending his days idly. At first, I thought it was just a tough period for him mentally and decided to leave him be. But as this dragged on, my frustration with Ryan gradually grew. Ryan, don't you think it's time to put your feelings in order? There's no point in staying home forever.
I'll start working soon. Just give me a little more time.
He said that, but the days continued unchanged. During this time, Mark brought his fiancée home to introduce her to us.
This is my fiancée, Mary. We're planning to get married within the year.
Nice to meet you. I'm Mary. I really like the brand from your company, Kelly.
Oh, really? That makes me so happy. Mary, please take good care of Mark. Mary seemed like a pleasant person. She and Mark made a great couple. So, Mark would soon have a family of his own. He's really become a fine adult. While there was a slight feeling of loneliness at the thought of my child leaving the nest, the joy outweighed it. Some time later, we received news that the wedding date had been set.
Mom, does your schedule look okay? Make sure you keep it open.
Of course. I have to be there to see you on your big day. I felt excited, wondering what kind of wedding it would be. Just as I was thinking that, a major project was about to get underway at the company. What? Really? Thank you so much. It was decided that the brand would expand overseas. Along with that, a new branch office was to be established abroad. It looked like things were about to get even busier. While I was working frantically toward this big event of expanding overseas, Mark's wedding was just a month away. And there was something I needed to tell Mark. I actually had to leave for an overseas assignment 1 week before his wedding. Why did it have to coincide with the wedding? I wanted more than anything to attend the wedding. I tried negotiating with everyone involved to adjust the schedule. However, it wasn't something that could be changed just for my personal wishes. If I declined this job now, the chance to grow the company might never come again. My dear son's wedding and my work, where I was the main pillar, both were important. But for the sake of my husband, who had lost his sense of purpose and was feeling down, for Mark and his wife, and for the grandchildren who would hopefully come in the future, I needed to keep growing the company. As a last resort, I had no choice but to ask Mark to accept that I had to go overseas. Now is the time to tell him. I stopped Mark as he was about to leave after work. Mark, I have something I need to apologize for. A week before your wedding, I have to leave for our overseas branch, so I won't be able to attend.
What? Why does it have to overlap? Couldn't you reschedule?
I tried my best, but it was impossible to change the schedule. I'm really sorry.
You're missing your son's wedding? That's unbelievable.
With that, Mark left in anger. Amid the tense atmosphere with Mark, the day finally came for me to depart overseas. Mark, I'm really sorry about the wedding. I'm doing this for you and your future. Please take care of your father.
Yeah, sure. It's fine. I know the company is important.
Mark still didn't seem pleased about my overseas assignment, and his response was cold. Meanwhile, Ryan continued to stay cooped up at home. I wondered if everything would be okay while I was away. Ryan, I've informed the company about everything, so please go to the office when you can. And I'm sorry I can't attend the wedding. Please celebrate for me and give Mark my best wishes.
It can't be helped if it's work. I'll do my best, little by little.
I made sure that Ryan had enough arrangements in place at the company and that there were sufficient living expenses. Then I left for my overseas assignment. It was my first time abroad, and I don't know my way around at all, spending each day just busily getting by. Finally, I was starting to get used to the local language and food. I wondered if Ryan and Mark were doing well. I wondered how the wedding had gone. I avoided contacting them because I didn't want to be a bother with the time difference, so I had no idea how things were going. But since there hadn't been any emergency messages, I assumed everyone was managing just fine. And then, a few months later, finally, my work had settled down, and I was able to return home. I was overjoyed at the thought of coming back to my family. I had caused so much trouble for Ryan and Mark, so I decided to buy a lot of souvenirs for them. I wondered what kind of things Mary liked. I circled the souvenir corner 3 times, imagining the faces of my family. I was exhausted from the long flight, but when I landed in the US, I suddenly felt energized. With a light step, I headed home and opened the front door. I'm home. In the living room, there were Ryan and Mark. I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused you too. I've come back now that things have settled down with work. Their reaction was not what I expected after being away for so long.
Huh? A ghost? So, you're still alive, Mom?
Yeah, it seems so.
What? What kind of joke is that? Stop it. I never expected to be treated as if I were dead. I was bewildered by their unexpected words. Can you tell me what happened while I was away?
What? Someone who skips her son's wedding isn't family. I have nothing to say to you.
I truly feel sorry about that. But I wanted to work hard for the family.
I don't want to hear such pretty words. Stay overseas forever. I'll run the company here without you.
I couldn't bear Mark's words and turned to Ryan for support. Hey, Ryan. Don't you think this is too much? Say something.
No, everything Mark says is right. You're not family anymore.
I was deeply shocked to hear such words from my family. Did I really get too absorbed in my work? I guess that's true. No mother in the world would normally miss her son's wedding for work. Maybe I should give it some time and talk to them again later. Thinking that, I quietly left the house and decided to stay in a hotel for a while. A few days later, I decided to try once more to have a proper discussion and headed back to the house. When I entered the house, it seemed that Ryan and Mark were out. But Mary appeared to be home, and I could hear a faint voice coming from the living room. It sounded like she was on the phone with someone. As I quietly approached the living room to avoid interrupting, I heard my name mentioned in the conversation.
But, I kind of feel sorry for her. Not only has her family abandoned her, but soon, she'll lose the company too. I got a copy of that file. So, what should I do next?
As I strained to listen, it became clear that they were talking about taking over the company. I had heard after returning to the US that Mary had joined my company, but what did she mean by taking over? And who was she talking to on the phone? I was shocked to think that my daughter-in-law could be plotting something like this. I had started this company at a young age, entrusting it with my dreams. I had been working hard for my own goals, but at some point, I shifted to growing the company for the sake of my family. There was no way I could let Mary take over such a precious company. I thought about what I could do to protect the company and decided to hire a private investigator to look into Mary's background. A few days later, I received a call from Kevin, the detective, saying that he had quickly gathered information about Mary.
Where should I start?
Kevin spoke cautiously.
Kelly, do you know this person?
Oh, this person. The photo he showed me was of the CEO of a rival company.
It seems that this person is involved. For now, I will give you the report from this investigation, but I believe it would be best if you shared this with your family as well.
But I can't just go home so easily. Besides, neither my husband nor my son is willing to talk to me. Please, just go ahead with the report.
In that case, I will be there when you talk to your family. If necessary, I will speak on your behalf. Now, let me begin the report on Mary.
Kevin began to speak calmly. With each piece of information he revealed, my brow furrowed more and more. So that's what Mary's phone call was about. I really need to have a serious talk with my husband and son. After hearing the investigation results and learning the truth, I decided to confront Mary head-on. I enlisted Kevin's help again and gathered all the necessary evidence. I was fully prepared to have an open and honest conversation. Kevin stood by my side. I couldn't afford to lose here. Taking a deep breath, I opened the front door. I need to have a talk. Please, everyone, sit down. I gathered Ryan, Mark, and Mary in the living room. I'm sorry for the suddenness. This is Kevin, a private investigator. I had him look into something. Now, Mary, does anything come to mind?
Huh? Not at all. Did I do something?
Mary replied with a half-smile.
What's going on all of a sudden? Mom, you haven't even met Mary that much. Is there some kind of problem?
Mark defended Mary, directing his hostility toward me. Ryan, still trying to grasp what was happening, remained silent, glancing around nervously. Mary, you know this person, don't you? I gently placed a photo on the table, showing the CEO of a rival company walking beside a smiling woman. As soon as Mary glanced at the photo, she tried to cover it with her hand, but I quickly picked it up.
Hey! Let me see it properly.
Ryan, Mark, you've both been deceived by Mary.
What are you suddenly talking about? That's disrespectful to Mary.
Exactly. How could you accuse me of something like that? What are you saying, Kelly?
Mary spoke with a half-smile. Mark, look. The woman beside this man is Mary. And this man is the CEO of a rival company, Mary's former lover. It seems they're plotting together to take over my company.
Could you stop making baseless accusations?
What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Enough of this.
Mark still didn't believe me. Mary, still confident in Mark's support, maintained a composed expression next to him. Marrying you was all part of the plan. Mark, wake up and see the reality.
Why should I believe that? Besides, I don't need to hear this from a mother who was barely around. You were always working, never paying attention to me. Don't pretend to be a mother now.
Mark refused to listen to me and instead vented his built-up frustrations. I was taken aback by his words, unable to just brush them off. I had worked so hard to make Mark happy, but it backfired. Had I made him feel so lonely all this time? Your father's income was always unstable, so I felt I had to work hard. I just wanted to make sure you could live comfortably. But I was wrong. I'm sorry for making you feel lonely since you were little.
That's just an excuse.
Mark muttered, his face slightly contorted.
I hate to interrupt this touching moment, but could you stop falsely accusing me? How long is this going to go on?
Mary sneered mockingly. Even at this point, she was still trying to conceal her true intentions. Then, having lost patience with Mary's attitude, Kevin spread out evidence, photos, and documents on the table.
Will you still claim you're innocent after seeing this?
What is this? Mark! Don't look at this! Don't!
Mary shouted as she frantically tried to gather the items scattered on the table. But despite her screams, Ryan and Mark started picking up the evidence and looking through it.
Is what Kelly's saying true? Mary, you...
Damn it. I can't win this.
Realizing she was at a disadvantage, Mary slumped down on the sofa in defeat.
So, it was all just to take over the company? Was it a lie when you said you wanted to be part of our family?
Mark's voice trembled with despair as he questioned Mary.
That's right. You were just a pawn, nothing more. I planned to dump you once the company was mine. That guy said it would all go smoothly if I followed his lead. Why did it have to be exposed now? This isn't my fault.
Mary raised her voice, refusing to admit her wrongdoing. Then, feeling uncomfortable, she hurriedly left, dialing someone on her phone. She was probably calling the CEO.
Now, do you believe me?
Yeah. I was deceived.
Well then, I'll take my leave now.
Kevin began preparing to leave. Kevin, thank you so much for everything. Having you by my side was truly reassuring. I'm going to take my time to talk things over with my family now.
I'm glad I could help. I wish you the best of luck and happiness in the future.
With that, he swiftly left. As I watched Kevin leave, I thought about what I should say to Ryan and Mark. They had come to believe Mary's wrongdoing, but the tension between us still lingered. For now, I needed to look them in the eyes and talk things through. I took a deep breath and slowly returned to the living room. Gently opening the living room door, I saw Mark looking stunned and Ryan with his head down. I'm sorry for startling you both today. I truly want to talk with you and go back to being the family we were. Then, Ryan, who had been hanging his head, spoke up.
Kelly, Mark. It's all my fault. While Kelly was working so hard for Mark, I was only doing what I liked. I never thought even a little about our family.
But Ryan, you took care of Mark. Because of you, I was able to focus on my work.
Even so, when my band contract ended, I made things harder for you. I'd only ever done music, so I felt truly hopeless at that time. I knew Kelly was trying to help me find my footing again, but I felt like there was nothing else I could do besides music, so I couldn't bring myself to do anything. I'm truly sorry for causing you so much trouble.
Listening to our conversation, Mark's eyes filled with tears. Oh, Mark, why do you look like you're about to cry? Mark, please understand that even though I was always working, I never gave up on you.
I hated you without knowing anything about the circumstances. Ever since I was little, I thought your work was more important to you than me, and I felt resentful. Mom, thank you for everything you've done for us. I'm sorry for saying such awful things.
No, don't worry about it. I'm just glad we're finally having this conversation. For the first time, the three of us had an open and honest discussion. By sharing our true feelings, it seemed like the emotional distance between us had grown closer than before. After a while, Mark decided to divorce Mary. At the same time, Mary was fired from the company, and her takeover plan ended in failure. Mark decided he wanted no further involvement with Mary, and he cut ties with her without seeking alimony. As for Ryan, he's been working hard as an executive in the company.
I never thought I'd be working properly at this age. It turns out I still have a lot left in me.
Don't get too ahead of yourself. We're counting on you. I was glad to see Ryan looking so lively. I felt relieved that he had found his place outside of the band.
Hey, Mom! The sales at the branch overseas are incredible. The expansion abroad has been a huge success.
Mark excitedly showed me the sales report of products that had gone viral overseas. Wow, that's amazing. I've never seen numbers like this. The overseas branch achieved outstanding performance, and my company even went public on the stock market. It has grown to a level where rival companies can't even come close. By now, that company's CEO and Mary must be biting their lips in frustration. The three of us gradually repaired our family relationships and worked together to manage the company. There were times when balancing work and family was really tough. When Ryan and Mark turned their backs on me, it was even harder, but even that has become a good memory. What I feel most of all is a sense of accomplishment for all the hard work we've put in. I want to cherish this company and my family for a long time to come. How did you like today's story? Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.